Exploring happiness on the show this morning and what it means to feel happy. But what is going on psychologically when we feel happy? Janine Hubbard is a registered psychologist based in Newfoundland, and we talked over the phone about happiness.
Just as kind of a team building exercise with a group of colleagues kind of just after COVID lockdown. So we hadn't seen each other in person in ages, and we had people who had never met each other in person. So I kind of pulled together a little get-to-know-you questions, including things like, what would be the name of your autobiography, or what's your most embarrassing moment?
Yeah.
But one of the questions that I asked is, what's your happy place? And we got some fascinating answers for that one. And you know what? If you ask, most people can very quickly tell you their happy place.
What are some examples of happy places?
Well, I can happily give you mine because
sure.
For me, I've got two. Partly because they were both taken away during COVID, but sitting in the audience of like a live musical theater performance. Gives me escapism like nothing else. And I've been lucky enough. I've been able to go on African safari a couple of times, and I just have videos of the elephants at the watering hole at dusk. And I just instantly go, that is my happy place. That is my bliss. That is like if I, need to go someplace for a little bit to kind of re-regulate, just even in my imagination, I do that. We've asked people like what song or video clip or, movie. I will tell you, if you can get to them, make them laugh from Singing in the Rain. So it's interesting when you start to ask people, like, are there things that just, almost instantly take you to, you don't even have to be there. I mean, being there is even better. So for lots of people, it's, being by the side of a lake or somewhere in nature, or, it could be listening to my kid giggle and laugh.
Yeah.
All kinds of things.
Yeah, for sure. When you're talking about the happy place, I went through therapy recently, and one of the things we did, a practice after a hard session, was going to my happy place. And for me, the beach in Hay River, my hometown, in the summertime on a warm, sunny day with a light breeze and my dog Dante, who passed away a few years ago, that is my happy place,
Yeah. And you can get there almost instantly.
Yep.
Like, it's amazing.
Immediately. So psychologically speaking, Janine, when we feel happy, what is going on?
There's a few things. Definitely, listen, all of those lovely neurotransmitters that help regulate our mood and kind of our cognitions are at play. So certainly, our reward system is activated. We get things like, short term, there's kind of that dopamine reaction. That's that's kind of the immediate or short term pleasure. I've just had something's just really made me smile or feel happy. And, I have that immediate response. But also one of the things, it's not just about excitement. So we got the serotonin, which is kind of that calming effect, much like we've been talking about. It's feeling content. It's feeling like my emotions are regulated. And one of the things, we get all that good oxytocin going, which makes us feel good and feel connected. And really, when we're feeling happy, it reduces our cortisol levels are lowered. That's the one that gets, activated when we're actively feeling stressed. So that if your cortisol levels are lower because you're overall feeling happy, it also makes it much easier for you to respond to stressors because your baseline is kind of like, okay, you can put stressors in perspective. It doesn't feel like quite such a danger or a threat. And so, like I say, that's all the cool stuff that's going on in your brain. And then it's also a question of, is it something that is kind of, again, a short-term, something that's bringing me some momentary happiness, or actually, is it more, I feel like I have purpose, I have meaning, I'm achieving growth, and that could be in work, it could be athletics, it could be with family or relationships, it can be in so many aspects of life, but it's It's kind of that short-term piece, but then it's kind of the big picture or underlying. Some of it is personality factors. Like, are you generally an optimistic kind of person?
Yeah.
Are you someone who goes into situations assuming the best? Or are you someone who, is maybe more pessimistic? So, like, there's just so many aspects to it, and a lot of it, again, for that overall contentment. That do you feel like I make a difference? I'm meaningful. And actually, Gordon Flett is a Canadian psychologist who's done a tremendous amount of work in what he frames as mattering. And so it's not just the do I go in and people, notice that I'm there. It's the do I matter to others?
Yeah.
Being just a core, foundational, really important need for all of us, and how absolutely that can tie into that sense of contentment and overall happiness. So, there are so many things that are interconnected, and then there's just where are your own personal priorities. Are you okay, in a job that maybe doesn't bring you a great amount of joy, but it allows you to then satisfy those other areas in life. So there's so many individual differences in this as well.
When I have felt the worst in my life emotionally, I have not known or understood if I matter to people. But when I'm doing well, I understand that I do matter to people, But like you mentioned, there's so many aspects of being happy. There's optimism, there's joy, there's what's going on inside your body. How would you define happiness?
Oh, that's an excellent question. And you know what? I think it's subjective.
Why do you think happiness is so subjective?
There are giant cultural aspects in terms of what we're taught to value, what's important. So it's not just inherent personality characteristics. It's what are we taught from our family? Again, what is celebrated as joyful when you're in your own immediate family? What is celebrated? How are feelings discussed? But then, like I say, from a larger society or culture, and not directly answering, but one of the things I will say is if you ever want to experience happiness and joy, I want you to go on a walk with a dog or a small child and watch their curiosity, their excitement over the most simple things. Listen, if you've ever watched a kid find a good old mud puddle and go for a great big jump, and it's a reminder of, okay, that seeking of joy and happiness is inherent in us, I think, but we overcomplicate it a lot as adults.
That was registered psychologist Janine Hubbard. We talked over the phone from Newfoundland.